A component of the LSD drug is composed of lysergic acid found on funguses and grows on rice. The individual element is lithium. The reaction that it has on the brain, it shuts down sensory filters. It affects the cerebral cortex on the outer sheath of the neural tissue, hallucinating violent tendency and loss of function. The permanent damage of the brain never makes it damage it has is on the neurotransmitter. The recovery time is up to 8 to 14 hours. The chemical reaction it has on the body, researchers believe that it's similar to serotonin, a neurotransmitter responsible for regulating mood. The organs that it affects is the eyes and the heart. These are not permanent damages, but they're only temporary. What it does to the eyes, it makes it dilate, and what it does to the heart, it makes its pulse increase.
So I turn around, I go back, and I go and take a piss. And this was my first ever visual hallucination ever. You know, I'm peeing and I'm feeling like off balance and like, oh. And then I look up and there's this like a gated like opening, because you know how the beach restrooms look. And that shit's moving as fuck. That's just like wavy and just, that's when I'm like, oh shit. And it's just me in this restroom, and it's loud as fuck. You can, my piss is like echoing off the walls, and it's just loud and chaotic in there. And it's just me peeing. You know, after that I start realizing, you know, fuck, I'm on LSD right now. I'm on some shit. And you know, I never got panicky at all. I never got scared or nervous or anything. At least at that, except for before taking it. But once I started feeling it, I started realizing, all right, here it is. Like, all right, I got you. And so we ended up walking towards the beach, and we got a little stereo playing Beatles and Pink Floyd. And then my brother takes off into the ocean, and I'm like, damn. All right. And then I go in the ocean, and like all my 6 homies that are with me stay, and me and my brother are in the ocean on LSD. And just thinking about it makes me happy. Like, it wasn't to the point where I was like tripping on the water, like, oh, you know, or like splashing into my face, like, or scared I was gonna drown. It was just like, just a beautiful thing. I was in the ocean having the most fun I've ever had in the ocean since I was little. Like, not only was it fun, but it was incredibly beautiful. I remember looking, like, just being able to look almost directly into the sun and notice how incredibly amazing and hypnotic and it is. Like, the sun is an incredible thing, you know. I realized that day. And, you know, I'm staying in the ocean, just, like, going against the waves and just, because I mean, I'm not a swimmer. I don't really like getting in the water, ever. And that day, me and my brother stayed in the water for over 4 hours, like, not straight, but like pretty much the entire time we were at the beach, we were in the water. It wasn't like how people, excuse me, it was no way at all anything that I thought it was gonna be. You know, I thought I was gonna be like tripping out, like seeing things and colors changing and seeing sounds and all this crazy shit. But I didn't. You know, it was more of a beautiful inner experience than it was outer, you know, if that makes sense. I felt like my thoughts were different. I felt like I was just so content with everything. You know, me being in the ocean, like, was just the most tranquil place to be. Well, as I was in the water, I started like thinking back, like, damn, you know, like, this ocean has been here for like millions and millions of years, you know. I'm in the same ocean that, you know, every story I've ever heard is connected to this water that I'm touching right now. You know, every like all the Greek, the ancient Greek mythology, fucking all the old pirates and fucking.
I was alone, falling free, trying my best not to forget what happened to us, what happened to me, what happened as I let it slip. I was confused by the powers that be, forgetting names and faces. Passers-by were looking at me as if they could erase it. Baby, did you forget to take your meds? Baby, did you forget to take your meds? I was alone, staring over the ledge, trying my best not to forget all manner of joy, all manner of glee, and our one heroic pledge. How it mattered to us, how it mattered to me, and the consequences. I was confused by the birds and the bees, forgetting if I meant it. Baby, did you forget to take your meds? 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 Alone, falling free, trying my best not to forget.
I know the rest of this is, you know, fucking. I know the rest of this is just the trip, so I'm sure that the mirror shouldn't be that much scary. So anyway, I went into the bathroom next door, and there's no lights in there. There was no light on. There's no windows, so there was only a small amount of light that was getting in through the cracks around the door, and oh, that was just fucking strange. And basically, the problem with that was that I was looking into the mirror. At first, my face looked normal, so I thought, no, this isn't supposed to happen, is it? And then it changed into like my eyes and stuff just. I think I swear, like my eyes were just shifting around, and my mouth was just like moving up to where my eyes were, and it was just like my face was turning into a Picasso. But then I looked away and looked back again, and my face, the shape wasn't changing, but sort of the shades and tones were, and like I looked at it at one point, and I'm sure my face looked like it was a sort of. I'm sure we all know those. We've all seen those sort of China, you know, terracotta soldiers or whatever. It looked like my face was turning into like something like that at one point. Then eventually I just thought, you know what, screw that. Just thought, fuck that. That's just getting a little bit scary now. So I just thought, okay, I went back into my room and I enjoyed the rest of my visuals, which from that point started to go downhill a little bit. But basically,
and I'm starting to get worried. I'm starting to get violent. I grab this hammer, I'm gripping it, and I'm like looking around, like looking around at people, kind of violently, and people are starting to get worried. They're like, what's going on with Grant? Why is he holding a hammer looking around at people like he's gonna kill them? So they're trying to take the hammer away from me. They finally take it away from me, and someone finds out what I did in the bathroom. They ended up kicking me out of the party, and I'm walking there, and I take off my shirt, so I'm shirtless. And I take off my shoes and my socks, and as I'm walking around, I'm looking at stuff, and I'm starting to spell things. I don't know what it was, but I was spelling things. I was spelling people's names. I was spelling out my friend Kim. I was like, Kim, K-I-M, Kim. McDonald, M-C-V-A-N-O-L-D, McDonald, Kim McDonald. And so I finally get picked up by someone that left that party because he came with me. And they pick me up, and they're like, Grant, what's wrong with you, man? Are you okay? What's going on? And as I'm talking to this person, he's spelling out his ABCs. He's going A, B, C, D, F, G, H, F. I'm like, if I don't spell my ABCs faster than this guy, I'm going to die. So he comes up again. Hey, Grant. A, B, C, D, F, G. And I'm like, A, B, C, D, F, G, F, Z. I'm like, fuck, I beat him. And so we got in the car. Another friend of mine was driving. I get in the car, and I see stop signs. I'm like, stop sign. S-T-O-P, stop. Finally go back to my friend's house, who I came from before I went to this party. And he comes out, and he's like, Grant, A, B, C, D, F, G, D. I'm like, what the fuck? People are spelling your ABCs faster than me. So I'm like, A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, Z. I'm like, I beat him, I can live. I'm not gonna die tonight, I can live. I spelled my ABCs faster than him. The people are walking in, there was like 3 of us, and the last guy that was walking in, I handed him something from my pocket. I don't know if it was real, I don't know if it was in my head or not. It was a piece of paper with the letter A on it. I was like, A, and I handed it to him. And he takes it. He's like, A, it's just a letter. Don't worry about it. It doesn't exist. And I'm like, A, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And I come in, and I'm like, none of this exists. And that's when everything just started turning topsy-turvy, and I am just completely losing it. I started running around in circles in this apartment. And I run towards his door. Bam! I hit his door. And I actually knocked it off the hinges. And I'm looking around, I'm like, there's a door on the floor. There's a door on the floor, and I grab the handle and I try to climb inside of it, trying to go inside of the floor, and they take the door away from me. They put it away, and they were like, Grant, we're calling the ambulance. We're calling the ambulance. You're gonna be here. You need to calm down. We're taking you to the hospital. And I'm like, A. And there was just flying letters all over the place. There were letter A's just flying around everywhere. And one settles onto this poster. Now this poster was actually there. His room had a lot of posters on there. And it was a Vampire the Masquerade poster. It's got a guy there going, come on in. And I'm like, A.
I was a fucking wreck. I swore I was gonna die. If I could have walked my ass to the hospital, I would have, but I couldn't. I had no fucking idea where I was, and I was in my neighborhood somewhere, roundabouts. I ended up on the canal bank, sitting next to the canal bank and watching the water go for like hours. I remember like the sun going down, the sun coming back up and shit. Yeah, it was a long time. But yeah, that's my LSD experience, and you know, I've never been right ever since then, man. I know I lost at least 10 IQ points that night, and emotionally I was a fairly stable person back then. After that incident, something broke in my mind. I'm just not quite the same. I'm not the same person after that incident. So I'm a big fan of LSD and hallucinogens. I think the very mind-opening experience and substance opens you to parts of your subconscious mind that are normally not accessible. But I would not recommend doing 30 hits.